from painting to cleaning up to making some stickers, I thought I'd share with you the process of making this really cute Halloween sticker for my Etsy shop. So if you're interested in learning about any of that, please go ahead and watch this video, give it a thumbs up if you like it, and let's get started. So I did end up doing the sketch and the line art off camera. I just didn't want to have to worry about making sure it looked good on camera and that you could see it, and the lighting wasn't that great because this was during a typhoon, so it was super dark outside, and I don't get a lot of light in this room anyway, even with the light on. So this is with my desk lamp on and the light on and the curtains open. So yeah, it might have been difficult to see the pencil sketch. But basically the reason I went for this kind of style, I guess, was because I recently I love the beginning of Halloween season, or like end of August and September, when I start seeing the shops putting out their Halloween decorations and like Halloween themed stuff. And Japan doesn't do Halloween nearly as hard as the US, but it's getting more and more popular every year. So every year, the department store near me has like Halloween themed tissues and toilet paper. And I ended up getting a box of tissues that had some jack-o'-lanterns and like fall leaves and stuff on it. It says Happy Halloween. And the style was so like classic Halloween decoration style, with just like, like the ink lines and like the hatching, and I was just like, that's so nostalgic. That's like, so you see so many of those decorations like in the 90s. Like I remember having like paper cutouts that we would hang on all the cabinets that were basically in this sort of like ink style. So I was like, I'm gonna do that. I know I like painting like, I wouldn't say realistically, but semi-realistically with gouache and stuff, but I was really going for that traditional Halloween vibe. So I basically I had the tissue box sit next to me, and I was like, what did this artist do that I really like and that I might change about it? So basically just wherever I would put a shadow, I put lines, which I like to do in pencil sketching, but I don't usually do with ink. I don't use ink very often anymore. So that's what I ended up doing. I just used my fine liners, the Sakura micron in 0.5, and then I used a 0.1 in my other fine liners, not Sakura. If I can remember, I'll put it in the description what the brand name is. But I use those for some of the finer lines. And yeah, I really liked how it looked. Another reason why I really wanted to do jack-o'-lanterns was because last year for Arttober, one of my prompts was jack-o'-lantern, and I really liked making the shapes for like the cutout parts where you could see the inside as well. I don't know, it's just really, it's like a fun brain challenge to imagine what that looks like, especially if it's turned at an angle. So I think I did that pretty realistically here. Yeah, pretty happy with how the line art came out. And then I just painted over it. I was wondering if I should wait until after I painted it to do the line art, but in the end I decided to do the line art first. I was kind of afraid I would mess up, right? Because I never tried these before, and I'll get to that in a second. So I was like, I'm gonna ink it, scan it, so that if I mess up, I can just print it and do it again. So luckily, I don't feel the need to do that, but that was why I decided to do the line art first, and I think it's kind of fun anyway. It's kind of like a coloring book. So honestly, I kind of considered making this available on like Etsy as like a coloring book page. But most people on Etsy with their coloring pages, they release a whole bunch at once, and I don't have anything like that prepared, so maybe someday. Now, I've had these Holbein watercolors for a little while now, a few months, and I've never actually tried using them before. I never even swatched with them before I started using them for this painting. I figured, let's just go for it. I was actually really pleased with them. The reason I ended up getting the Holbein gouache was because originally I just like basically only had a Winsor Newton Cotman palette in the pans, and I was so frustrated with the color payoff, so I was like, that's it, I'm getting tuned watercolor. And these did not disappoint. They were very, very vivid, very, very colorful. It took a lot of watering down to even like get light tones, which means I'll probably need to practice with it a bit, but I like this painting. I like how it turned out. Part of the reason I wanted to use watercolors was because I wanted a lot of texture. I didn't want nice smooth pumpkins, and I was hoping that watercolor would help me. I mean, watercolor is really easy to make texture with, so it definitely happened. The only issues I ran into it all was sometimes it's kind of a two-part issue, I think. I think one, obviously, I don't have a lot of experience with watercolor. I mainly paint in gouache and acrylic gouache, so obviously I need to just practice. But I think the other issue, or something that might help me a lot, would be getting a better brush, because these brushes are the Holbein AC Maru brushes, or the acrylic round brushes, which are awesome, and I love them for painting with gouache. They're my go-to, but they definitely don't hold enough water, I think, and they are very stiff. So what I found was that whenever I had a little too much water, I really wanted to soak up a bit, it wouldn't. And so it would pool and make some dark spots with like, dark lines around the edges. And then when I would try to fix that, rather than blending it out, it was just too rough, and it would, like, even if I barely touched it, it would just lift the color. So I think I might try investing in some other brushes just to see if it helps. So, but also obviously maybe I can learn to not run into those issues even with a nylon brush like this. It's not as if I was going for like big washes and stuff like that, so I don't know, I'll do a little practice here and there. I found color mixing with these shockingly easy. I was really surprised. I thought I was gonna have trouble getting the right color for the hat. I wanted like a deep purple, almost black sort of color, and I pretty much instantly achieved that. I got it, and then I wanted to make a little more, and I added too much yellow, and that ended up making this like dark green color, but that ended up working out anyway because I used that for the stem. And then I went and mixed the same things again without adding so much yellow, and it was perfect. So I really liked being able to layer and make things darker. There weren't any super bright white spots in this piece that I needed to worry about preserving the white of the page for, but I figured if I did need or feel like doing any super light highlights, I would either go in with gouache or a gel pen, or even a Posca pen. So yeah, I didn't really run into any issues. This paper is the Paul Rubens watercolor block, which for some reason I just got the urge to use it because I just haven't really used it for anything in ages. And it worked really, really well with this watercolor. It didn't bend at all. I actually prefer it, I think, to the paper that I use for like my cow. And what else did I do on that? I'm not sure. This one's a little bigger, so that's why I was using the smaller one, because I wanted smaller paintings, but it's whatever. And also, if you're really bothered by the fact that it's off center, that's because I originally started doing the jack-o'-lantern, the big one in the middle, and then I was like, wait, yeah, I wanted to have a friend. Like, I was planning that from the beginning. I just forgot when I started drawing. But I did end up cutting it to be even on both sides, so it's more of a pretty much a perfect square almost. I have it hanging on my wall. I might put it in a frame, I'm not sure. But yeah, you'll have to deal with it for this video, but I did end up cutting it evenly. So as you can see, I'm on my iPad, I'm in Procreate, and I'm just cleaning up the edges, like anywhere where the paint maybe went outside. I'm actually using white here because I did leave a little border. Because the white of the paper was bright enough, I was able to use the selection tool to erase most of the outside with just a little bit of cleaning up. I don't usually do that because I actually usually paint on cream paper. Usually I just go in with the eraser tool and go all the way around the entire subject of the painting, no matter how tedious it is, especially with fur and stuff. But for this one, I just went ahead and used the selection tool, and that's going to give me the white edge, part of the white edge. I actually make it a little bigger on Silhouette, because in the Silhouette software, you can have it do that for you automatically, and you just choose the size of the offset. So here I'm on an A4 size canvas, that's the size paper that I print onto, and I'm just copying the design as many times as I can and trying to fit them into the borders of the paper without them being too close, because like I said, there is an offset. So keeping that in mind, I shrink them and then duplicate them and then shrink them and duplicate them, trying to get the right size and fit as many on there as possible. For these, I went a little smaller than I usually do. I added an extra row that normally I wouldn't do, but there was just barely not enough space, so I kind of felt like I had to. For most of my other designs, I do 3x3, or if they're perfectly round, 3x4. But yeah, these I think were pretty cute the way they were. I do often end up having to fix them later after I open them onto the Silhouette Design Studio software, because either they're too close together, sometimes like one picture is a little closer than the rest, and so when I go and do the offset, the cut lines go into each other, which is not good. So sometimes there's a pixel or two that I didn't delete of the background, and I didn't realize it because it was too small, even though I usually try to check by changing the background dark. Yeah, sometimes I could miss it, and I don't know until the Silhouette Studio software catches it, and that's really annoying if I don't catch it before I start cutting, because there'll be random holes everywhere. So sometimes I mean for this one I had to close the software and like edit it like 3 or 4 times because the spacing was just not correct. So for that, I just opened up Fire Alpaca. Often I'll use Krita, doesn't really matter, and I just move things around a bit, scoot them over, and then open them back up into Silhouette Studio. The next thing I'll do is open up the file in Silhouette Studio, and I'll print it from there. I just use an inkjet printer, Canon. Then I'll use Silhouette Studio to cut them out. I can do a more in-depth tutorial maybe later, but not today. Then here's the finished product. These are up on my Etsy now. If you want them before Halloween, you gotta go fast. There is a discount code of 13% off until after Halloween, so go get it now while it lasts. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.